Good evening, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Sean Robert Grant. Happy to have you here with me. And then I just messed that up. There we go. I am Sean Robert Grant. I am the creator of the Vibrational Actor, a heart-centered approach to acting webinar. Yes, yes. Finally, the day has come, and I'm happy to say it is number one on the new release something sellers, whatever. Anyway, it's in the top 20 as far as new releases and best selling and stuff like that. And it feels good because there's so much that went into this book. There's so much that transpired to allow this book to finally be published. And I mean, looking back on it, it really, really was a process. It really was a journey that sort of began to I began to lose steam after a while, because after being shot down by so many different publishers, after being, pretty much dismissed by a lot of people saying that, well, maybe it wasn't too long enough, maybe it wasn't this, or maybe it wasn't that, I got to a place where I'm like, you know what? I went back in, I rewrote a lot of stuff. I made sure that the book connected with me first and foremost. And I just put my heart into it, and came about that Amazon was actually, it's pretty easy to publish on Amazon, so to speak, without having to pay somebody a ton of money and stuff like that. And so, anywho, I basically just got it all together. My wife helped me. She did such an amazing job with the design and the formatting and stuff like that. And it became live, and literally it's number one on the new release list in theater, acting, and auditioning. And I'm just beyond grateful. And so I say that to tell you, whenever somebody counts you out, whenever somebody tells you that your work is not good enough, whether it's directly or indirectly, whenever somebody says that, I would rather devote more time to someone else than devote time to this, you know what you do? You applaud that, and you keep moving, because eventually the divine is going to create an outlet for you to be able to express yourself and to get your stuff out there. And for me, it was just only about, it's as an actor, it's never been about being famous. It's never been about, wanting people to see me, maybe for a little bit of time. And when I experience a little bit of that fame here and there, but it's always been about, who could I help? How can I give back to the acting community? And how can I inspire them to be their very best, right? That's always what it's been about. And that is what I am extremely proud of now, and ready to share with you some of the things that I have in this book. Now, paperback is only $8.99. There's a reason why I made it that way, because I want people to get this book, to read it, to study it, to learn it, to practice what we call in it the light, camera, action steps, right? I want people to do that. And so it's only $75 in the paperback, $58 in the Kindle, but it gets to the point, right? It gets to the point of how you're going to be better as a performer, and more importantly, more fulfilled as a performer, because that is what counts. Right? The fact that you can be happy doing what you love, not worried about anything else outside of that. I was fortunate enough to just get back from an amazing 12 days of filming. And the whole time I'm thinking about these concepts that I have in this book, and how I was so excited to come back and be able to release it and just share, what I've experienced throughout my time as an actor for like 13 years. And so it's just truly a blessing. And that's my primary objective, is to help as many actors and actresses as I can with this work. Okay. So if you get a chance, there's a link in the description that you can check out, and that link will lead you right to that book. The paperback is not available just quite yet. They're out of stock, but it will be. So if you choose paperback, you can buy paperback, or if you're a Kindle person, you can do Kindle. It's also on Kindle Unlimited as well. Okay. So with that being said, let's get into this. So the very first question we have to ask ourselves is, what is vibrational acting. So I'm going to show you how this concept came about. I had just got off of set about, I want to say maybe 4 years ago now. It's 2016, I remember. And I just wasn't connecting to the characters in a state that I wanted to. I wasn't allowing myself, it seemed like I had lost the zest for for acting, because I was just kind of going through the motions, and call it ego, call it just disinterest, whatever it was. I decided to take a break from it. I decided to take a break, and I decided to really dive into, why do I love this so much, right? What about this craft enables me to be my best when I'm doing it? Right. And so I dove into meditation, which you will see. It's one of the topics we got today. And all of a sudden, this concept was born. And so, if you know me, of course, most of you know me as Reverend Sean Robert Grant. I'm a very spiritual person. And so, being very spiritual, very inclined, very connected to God and to spirit, I dove in and just opened myself to what would come through. And what I got was vibrational acting. So let's look at this. Let's break this down a bit. So vibration is basically an energy frequency. It's the resonance that you give off, right? That matches to a like component that is resonating at the same level, right? So that's what vibrational is. And everything moves at a vibration. Your relationships, your car, your job, your work, the amount of money you have, it all operates at a certain vibration. So for me, I'm like, what would happen if I could vibrate at a level that resonated with the exact roles that I wanted to portray? Okay. And the vibrational actor was born. And so what's so phenomenal about this is that immediately I got dropped by an agent. I felt the need to stop submitting, and just doing these lightning fast, and not lightning fast, but just these repetitive submissions, trying to get these auditions for these jobs that didn't resonate with me. When I tell you, and I mentioned this in the book, I get certain auditions and I just shake my head, because I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm like, I like, this is not it. So all that stuff happened at first, the moment this concept was born, right? And then all of a sudden, my inner guidance began to tell me, okay, continue to connect more within. And I did that. And everything stopped for about a few weeks, probably about a month or so. And then it picked up. And when it picked up, it began to be a place where I was manifesting the roles that I was deeply connecting with, right? And keep in mind, for me, it's not about fame, right? I don't, that's great if that comes, but I don't need that anymore. Not at this point in my life. Like, it's about balance. So for me, characters that were going to help me to pull more of myself out of myself is what I was interested in. And those were the ones that began to unfold and begin to manifest. And I was resonating, because here's the thing. If you're an actor, you're truly an actor because you love it, not because of what you get from it. It's like that with anything you do in life. You do it because you love it. You do it because it makes you feel good inside. And that truly was the desire, right? And so as this began to work, I began to find myself in positions where, it wasn't necessarily like enormous roles, but it was roles that would teach me how to be a better person. It was roles that would fulfill me in a way that nothing outside of myself ever could. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I am on to something. I'm on to something here. And so I expanded and I began to meditate more and more. And before you know it, the Vibrational Actor continued to grow. And, we've got a podcast called The Actors Area. If you get a chance to go check that out, it's on iTunes as well as iHeartRadio. Basically, every outlet it's on. But if you get a chance, check that out. Check that out. You'll see some of the journeys we went through there with the Actors Area. There's theuplifterentertainment.com, which is my website. You'll have blogs and stuff. There's so many different resources that relate to this concept that definitely when you get the chance to check out. But all in all, in a nutshell, it's vibrating at a state of being that allows the roles that are perfect for you from a soul level, from a spiritual level, to manifest in your life. Because here's the thing. It's not about whether people see you. It's not about whether or not you're known to the entire world. All that matters is you get to perform, and you get to perform by putting the element of yourself into the work that you're doing. That, in a nutshell, is vibrational. It's vibrational acting. Okay, so it expands a little bit more in the book, but that's kind of where we are today with this webinar. And I just wanted to share that with you. So with that being said, that's kind of basically the first thing you come across in the book. And so I chose some different ones. I wanted to give you some stuff that was really important to me that I feel like, would really encourage you to check the book out for yourself. So the next thing we have is a vibrational actor chooses intuition over logic. Okay. So in this chapter, this is actually a chapter title. I talk about how I began to trust more of my gut. I began to trust more of my gut instinct and less about what I should be doing or what other people felt like I'd be doing. Right. Because if you put your career in the hands of other people, guess what? They'll tell you exactly what you need to do by their standards, right? But what you have to do is you have to connect with yourself within, which we'll talk about here in just a bit. You have to connect within. And when you connect within, you'll be guided by your intuition to do the stuff that makes sense to you, right? Case in point, I can remember, I think it was the Straight Outta Compton film that I had an audition for, and it was a great role in the sense that it paid a lot and it was in a big film. And I knew without a shadow of a doubt, like, I have range as an actor. I could play this in a heartbeat and I would have booked the role, but it didn't resonate, right? It didn't resonate. And what sometimes a lot of performers get into is they start taking any type of acting job, any type of role, and you don't feel good about it. Have you ever been in that space where you book something and you're happy about booking it, but then you get into it and you realize, okay, this is not resonating with me at all? That's what I had felt like when I got this audition. And so I turned it down, and I began to turn down a bunch of stuff, right? Because anytime I get anything, the first thing I do is actually, just going to tell you number 3, I go right into meditation, right? And I connect with the God in me, the spirit self of my, being, to make sure that it is a right situation. And if it's not, I'll deny it in a heartbeat. I don't care. It doesn't matter, what film it is or what TV show it is. I will deny it, because if it's not right through intuition, guess what? It's going to cause you a lot of problems when you start to go towards that. And what intuition also helped me to do as an actor is it helped me to stop from being desperate, right? I can remember way back when I started, there was a desperation. Oh, I gotta get this role. I gotta have this role. This is mine. But that was rooted in lack and needing approval from my family and everybody else. When in actuality, I had to kind of reconfigure how I was approaching this career. And so I went back and started to do it out of love, right? And love came through trusting my intuition over logic, right? So now I can just be completely honest with you. No matter what it is that comes to my email, that comes to my door, that tells me, oh, we want you to do this, I will always see if it resonates with me, if it resonates with my deeper being. If it does, great, we can move forward. If not, I'll turn it down. I'll ignore it sometimes, and just being honest, because the thing is, it's not just your acting career that's coming into play. It's your life. It's your state of being. It's your integrity. It's all those things that you hold near and dear to your heart that we have to trust spirit to make sure that we're on point when we take it. Right. But it all depends on where your motives are. Right. Always moving from a place of love, we talk about in this book, because when you move from love, you get love in return, right? You experience loving circumstances and your career becomes more fulfilling, as opposed to just jumping at the first thing that pops. It's all desperation. So intuition is that inner voice, that inner guidance that says, okay, this is good for you. This is something you should move on. This is something you should jump on, right? And then sometimes what's so interesting that has happened is, let's say a role will come along, it'll pay $5,000, right? And then another role will come along and it'll pay $125, per day or whatever it is. And intuition will guide me to take the lesser role. And at first I didn't understand this, but then when I would actually go through it, the experience that I would get from taking the role where my inner guidance was moving me towards would fulfill me so much more, and in turn raise my vibration up to where I could be open and more receptive to enjoyable experiences, which eventually leads to having more money. So because I followed my truth, my authentic truth, in a sense of being a performer and not just what looked the best in my bank account, I was able to make a good decision and build upon that, as opposed to run into issues. Because a lot of times, once again, you can't go against your intuition. When you do that, you set yourself up to really, really run into some problems. We also talk about using intuition in the auditioning room and stuff like that. And that'll be in the next book, Becoming a Powerhouse in Auditioning. But, intuition, you can walk into a room and you've been practicing something one way for the entire time you've had the sides and the script, and then you walk in and your intuition says, change it up. And that voice because there's nothing like that voice that speaks to you, and you change it up and then you wind up booking, right? So it's always trusting it, whether it's in the business side of your career or whether it's in the practical craft side of your career. Always trust your intuition, hone your intuition, really sharpen it so you can listen to it. And how do you do that? Well, guess what? Number 3 is how you do that. So this is another chapter. Meditation is a vibrational actor's playground. Playground. What does that mean? That means that in the state of meditation, you get to be free. You get to be light. You get to be able to choose that which you want and desire for yourself, right? How amazing is that? How amazing is it to know that through meditation and through meditation alone, you can be in charge of your career, right? See, because here's the thing. Here's what I noticed in being an actor. So much is put on physical, when in actuality, it's the mental and the spiritual approach that make the difference in success and being fulfilled. I can tell you at 13 years, I have been extraordinarily fulfilled as an actor. Why? Because I've picked and choose. There we go. Almost cut out there probably because of the rain. I've picked and choose what mattered to me most, right? From a soul's perspective. And in doing so, it's led to me expanding and growing, not just in my acting career, but in my life, right? And it's just helped me so much to be able to implement that in, and it keeps you grounded. It keeps you full of peace. Imagine, once again, this doesn't just stop at the business side of things. This goes into when you're acting. Like I was just on set last week and it was in between takes and stuff. And I just found myself meditating, right? Just meditating, taking in the environment, really connecting to myself as the character that I was portraying, and really just opening myself to the environment and allowing anything that wanted to come in from my intuition to come in. and it would help me to do stuff a little bit differently, or move a little bit differently, or just adjust things. And it would be subtle adjustments, not even enough for anybody else to notice, but I would notice, right? I would notice. And in noticing that, right, you begin to say, okay, my intuition is still going. It's still helping me. It's still enabling me to be the very best that I can. And so with that being said, right, there's nothing like silence before you get ready to do something that requires 100% your concentration. If you're going to act and act in a way that is, professionally and on point, you have to have that concentration. That concentration doesn't come until you get into silence, right? So you may be acting, well, how do I meditate? I don't know how to meditate. Well, it's easy. Close your eyes if you feel the need. If not, just sit still, lie down, get in a chair, and just breathe, right? And allow any thoughts, okay, any feelings, anything that wants to come up, allow it to. Let resistance move out of your way and just be receptive to everything. And when you're receptive to everything, you'll find your intuition will drop in some breadcrumbs, and it'll be something that will help you to greater your performance, right? It'll be something to help you to greater your performance. Funny story. So the very first day of filming in this past film that I just did, we were running hills. We were running huge, okay, let's just put it this way. We were running mountains, and it was 7,000 feet up in altitude. And I live in Florida. There's no altitude anywhere. I got to go like 1,000 miles to Georgia to get any type of altitude. So as we're doing this, I'm like literally dying. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm dying because I have not done altitude training in a while, but I can hear the voice of my intuition, of the God in me, the guidance coming through and telling me, it's okay. You're ready for this. You've prepped for this. You have the resolve within you. And I can hear that over and over. And that's the only thing that moved me through legs sore, lungs burning, like all this stuff all this dust in my nose. That was the only thing that moved me through that. And the only way I could be able to hear that is in between takes when we were walking, and it was like a walking meditation, or when I was stopped and I was just like, okay, meditate, catch your bearings, and just listen. And I would get that, and sure enough, I get the energy to do the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And it was something so phenomenal that really helped me to push through something that was physically challenging, that I would never be able to just not have the opportunity to use my intuition as opposed to my logic, and also to be able to have that meditation. Now, this is a case where meditation can be used at any point in time, in between takes, before you go on set, when you're in transportation, on your way to set, whatever it is, you can meditate. And what it does, it allows you to connect to the proper vibration needed for that moment. Once again, another element of the vibrational actor, right? So in doing this, you begin to build, right, a rapport with your divine guidance that's always going to help you, always going to lead you astray. And what it does is it gives you unlimited wisdom in any situation you are involved in, whether that's you're going to see an agent or a manager, or whether that's you're deciding whether to do this angry or not angry, or whether you're going to an audition and you need to figure out what time you need to go to your audition. You can use it for anything. It is there 24/7. You just have to tune into it and listen to it, and it will never lead you astray. And it comes through meditation, right? Amazing, right? It's amazing. So yeah, that pretty much sums up what we have set for you today. I just wanted to bring you some elements to this book because it was written from the heart. The reason why it's called a heart-centered approach, because everything in this book is written from my heart to help the actor that's willing to go and do this sort of craft and be a performer, but do it from the heart. right? Because that's when we all really become our most successful, our most fulfilled, is when we're moving from the heart, right? So in knowing that, in knowing that, it's important to be sure that our motives are always clear, especially when we're going after something that we feel it really, truly, really and truly feel like we love. And because we're on the topic of meditation, take some time to meditate that on that. Ask yourself, is acting something I really want to do? Is acting something I really love? Is acting really something I can commit to? Right? Because there's times where it just dries up, right? Dries up. But are you willing to stick it out for the long haul? And if you are, then I promise you, this is the book for you that's going to help you, that's going to help you to see things from a different perspective, and it's going to enable you to move and be your best. I'm telling you, it ain't number one on the new release list for nothing. I was telling myself this morning, I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's a fluke, right? Maybe, no. It's there because of what I was able to put into it. And what I've put into it is some valuable reasons and lessons and techniques that is meant to help the reader. And that's what it comes down to. And with that being said, my dears, that's all I got for you today. I don't want to spoil the book. So Kindle or paperback, you can definitely get on Kindle and Kindle Unlimited too. It's available now. Paperback, maybe it's something was happening with it, but eventually we'll have that up. But yeah, read it, share it, buy it for somebody else, enjoy it, allow it to help you. Read it with an open heart. Let it take you outside the box and let it make you a greater performer than you could have ever imagined in the most unconventional way possible, because I'm unconventional. So, of course, my book is going to be unconventional. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me today on this webinar. I'm very happy to have spent this time with you, and I thank you for all that, all your support and just basically being here. A lot of you guys tuned in. That was awesome. So yeah, the link's in the description, and have at it. Any questions, I'm here for you, and we will go from there. Have a wonderful day.